Hello, everyone, and welcome
はい、みんなこんにちは。
to the after Hiragana, the longest premiere we've ever done on this channel. I think sounds like a lot of people enjoyed it, so that's good.
ありがとうございます。
That was a marathon. Time for chicken wing Pringles from Japan, says Five Toed Sloth Bear. Ooh, sounds good.
おー
Morbid Blessing asked, do they have Uber Eats in Japan? We need to send Andy some food. Yes, they do actually have Uber Eats here. We've never
Hi.
actually used it because most of the places we'd use it for are very close
そうだ
to where
ね。
we live.
ありがとう。ストリームの間にね、ストリームじゃなかった。プレミアの間に切りまし
So
たから。
she cut it during the premiere. I like the bowling reference from the video. Oh yeah, poo. Poo is good, right? The sound
Hi.
effect was nice too. Poo. And dot 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 dot. And then a period and then what? Eyes. That was really good. Konbanwa, Black Winter and
こんばんは。
Luminon. こんにちは。
テディアントさんのさ、こういう風。
こういう風に、
うん
こういう風に。
そうそう。I see Yuki saying this a lot.
In
あロッ
this,
トです。
in this way, 風に、こういう風に、so こういう is like this, in this way, but then 風に is, what's a good English for 風
Like
に?
みたいなやつ、ね。
They're both like, it's like this, it's like, 風に there's an English word for it. I don't remember what it is.
ish って感じだよね。
Yeah, ish, something like that, yeah.
そうそう。
でも
ish
風に
なんかスタイル of 何々。
manner. Fu is like in this manner.
はい
So
はいはい
in this manner is basically the the literal translation. Luminum says if 46 hiragana take 1 hour and 25 minutes, all Joyo kanji would take 2 days and 17 hours. It's
大
a
変
lot of
だぞ
videos.
これは。
This channel would become literally just kanji. That'd be wild. Could be fun though.
うんうん。
In this manner. Yeah. That's good. What else? Do they have Uber Eats in Japan, right?
はい。
I knew about this because I got pulled over, right, that I had the live stream unlisted. Thank you for pointing that out, guys. I don't know
ありがとうございま
how
す。
I managed to mess that one up. As you can see, Divine Frequencies, thank you. Appreciate that. You're awesome too. Thanks for being here. I'll chip in to pay Dan to edit the Kanji Marathon. Oh my god, imagine having to edit that into one video. I think we'd have to split that up into chunks over years.
そうだね。大変だそれは。
This video alone, like Dan did a lot of work on the edit, so the edit too takes some time, because it's an hour and 25-minute video. But the subtitling,
うんうん。
first Yuki did all the like she made the script, not the script, but like she what do you call that?
Transcript.
Transcript
うん。
of her part, and then Dan, like that takes a while. That took her a few days, but then Dan has to translate it all, and then subtitling. I don't know if any of you guys have ever subtitled a video. It takes a long time. And also, it was his first time doing it. So,
はい。頑張りま
good
した。
job, Dan.
あ
Thank
り
you.
がとう。
The edit was
本
also
当
awesome.
に
When I get some time, I want to watch Godzilla -1, maybe minus color. It's out on streaming in the USA. I heard that was really good.
うーん。でも私ゴジラ見たことないんだけど。
I don't know if I've ever seen a
なんか
Godzilla. I
最初
think
の
I saw
やつだっけ？
one Godzilla movie back when I was a kid. One of the big ones that came out. Helped with so much conversation for me. That's great. I'm glad to hear that, Tiddly Ant. How's it going, Epic? Thanks for stopping by here as well.
ありがとうございます。
Let's see what's going on over here. We have Godzilla Yuki again. Oh, it's
Hi.
like
so
the lights reflecting today. All these hiragana all over the place. 上手に書けた. I drew it well. From here.
うん。
人生で一番上手に書けた. The best one I've ever written in my life. I said that like 3 times during the stream. Yuki even said it once. Yukizilla. Which character does Andy write the cutest? None of my characters were very cute initially, but I think my food is good now.
そうだね。でも結構キュート。チは結構キュ
My
ー
chi
トだよ
was
ね
cute だって。
うん
アンディが書いたやつが。
うん
Oh, my chi. Okay.
まああんまり書かないよね。こういうさ、なんていうの？こうチみたいなや
like
つ。
that. Yeah,
そう、
yeah.
こういうのはね、ちょっと難しい。
うん
日本人は難しい。
Japanese people don't write it that way very much. So that's how I wrote it and it was a little bit cute. But now I don't write it that way because of what she taught in that video. So I learned a lot during that video. Like recording that video. You could see it. Like the improvement from the beginning to the later. Like the little lessons that Yuki would give. I kept applying them to later ones and by the end Some of them were pretty good. The foo was, I'm very happy with my foo now. Tips on just getting started with studying Japanese. I got too many things I'm looking into and it gets me overwhelmed instead of just studying. Yeah, that's the biggest tip right there is since you've probably already watched a bunch of videos on how to start studying Japanese, you might have even watched my video on how to start studying Japanese. Now it's time to just stop watching that kind of video. Like, don't click on anymore. Don't look for anymore. Just take what you've been, what you've heard, maybe write out like a little plan, like, okay, I've learned all these things from these videos that I've watched. Maybe write out a little note like okay, I've learned you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and I'm most interested in maybe doing this part, and then just set aside 10 or 15 minutes every day to do that, and slowly increase your time, and try to do it at the same time each day, and just start. That'll get you there. Yo, the drawing's really cool. Who made it? That's her. She's the artist. Major props to come to Japan for the editing and all those subs. 100%. Are there outtakes? No, not really. That was almost, I don't think we didn't even cut much out of the video.
まあ練習するパートとかはカットしたよね。ちょっと。
Not much. I think E. Maybe I practiced once. Everything else.
あ、そう?
I think maybe we cut like 10 or 15 minutes out of the original scene. It was all just one single cut. And then maybe once or twice Yuki checked something and that was cut. But there's no like funny outtakes. It was pretty straightforward. That video is definitely going to get a lot of replays in this house. Nice, more blessing. Glad to hear it.
ありがとうございます。
I personally am binging Andy's Genki Grammar series. That's the one that's the bread and butter. That's the series that pays the bills, you could say. I suggest starting with Hiragana and Katakana. That is also a very important thing to start with.
ね、すごいありがたいことだよね。
Yeah, building a vocabulary is hard in the beginning. Some kind of SRS app can help with that. Yeah, so we got 15 minutes out. It felt like a few of the better characters were a little trimmed for time and skillfully too. Yeah, some of the that's what would happen. Like with Shi, there was no real reason to like spend a whole lot of time on that. Certain ones. So we rushed through a few of them just to keep it down because we realized like this is going to be a very long video if we don't. But we also didn't rush ones that needed work. So even though like it was getting late, it was like, okay, this one needs a little bit more practice. So we did more. Someone was mentioning we should practice what are those characters? Oh, it was from Luminum was saying we should practice. What are those? I can't remember. How do you type those?
あれカービーセブンとかじゃなくて。
So no, do with the waves down below. I can't even remember how to read those.
あ、わかった。あ、わかりました。いとえだ。いとえ。そう、いとえのね。
E and E. The old E and A versions. Someone was saying we should write those on stream or practice them. I can't get it to pop up in typing. I can't remember how to type them. Thank you for providing all these amazing lessons. You're very welcome.
ありがとうございます。
Then I would move on to studying from a textbook like Genki or just watch Andy's Livestream lessons if you don't have one. Yeah, that's not about... Yeah, those ones, right.
はい。
ありがとう。おやすみなさい。おやすみ。Tiddly-an. Thanks for hanging out.
おやすみなさい。そう。じゃあ、E と A はね、エキストラでやった方がいい。
Alright, let's do it just like we did in the video.
これもうゴジラユキ消す。
Godzilla Yuki, bye bye. そうだね。消すか。もったいない。Well, we haven't done video now forever, so
このゴジラユキのね、
Bye bye,
マジカル
Godzilla
ファイヤーにより
Magical
人生で一番うまく描けたっていう設定なんですけど、みんなわかったかなこれ。
わかったと思う。Yuki destroying my I think I've written the best I've ever written. But nope. I saved a screenshot to the Discord. Nice, thank you.
ありがとうございます。
Appreciate that.
はい。じゃあエキストラ E と A を
どっちが E だどっちが A だっけこっちが E
そうそう何も下についてないのが E
Okay.
ついてるのが A です
Alright. I say do has a curly Q so Ro does not. Oh, that works. That's nice. It was very informative. Never realized how different handwriting stylized types hiragana were. Now I want to try writing vertically and using the downward momentum mentioned in the video. Yeah, that was a huge what do you call it? Moment for me. Like realizing that you're always writing down. Right?
はい
So like if you're going with wa, you don't go straight. You think you're going down to the next stroke.
そうだね。
So then you're going to come here. Then here you're coming down to the next stroke here. And then here you're coming down, like always going down like that. Was a big moment for me in that video. Have you ever seen in the wild? It feels like a joke my sensei was playing as. No, almost never. Once in a while, it will show up in like slang online, I've heard, for things like otaku. Some people will use that instead of the regular o, because the regular o katakana is, I believe, this. So some people will write that instead when they're writing otaku, but very rare. I don't see it very much. And another place is when they're writing out pronunciation of sentences, full sentences. They write out the pronunciation katakana above it. Then you'll see it show up for the o particle sometimes, but super rare. Okay, so I'm gonna write I. I believe it is old I. Kakeru.
まず書いたことある?
Night. I've never written this before in my life.
いいですね。お、上手。すごい。いきなり。そう、これルに超似てるよね。
It looks a lot like Ru.
そう。
For reference, guys.
はい。
This is how it's actually read.
そう、いと読みます。これは。でまずフォントが似てる。
So I wrote it like
一応ルを書いとくね。このルはとっても参考になると思うからここにね。はい、これね。でこれは一画で書きます。ルと全く同じようにね。ただここがね、こういう風に言ってからこういう風に出来上がってこういう風に。
Okay.
いくんですね。
Interesting. Okay, so you do the little cut back like you usually do.
そう。だからね、途中までで見るとね、一応ミみたいな感じだよね。
It does look a lot like me up until the middle, yeah.
そう。だけどここからね、なぜかルに変わるの。はい。
みたいなもんかな。
そうですね。
Although hers is a little bit more tsu-like and mine is a big roundy guy.
そうだね。ここがなんていうの？これも四角のボックスになるんですけど。
Something like that.
ね。そう。これがさ、この半分に割った時に、ここの半分より下のところに、
You want the loop to be down there.
そう、ループとこれが来た方がよりバランスが
We
取
gotta
れる
get like a whiteboard that has this built into it. That would be really cool.
書いた方がいいかな、これは。
Yeah, but then you...
いいですね。上手。
Something like that.
いい感じ。そういう感じになってます。
Yeah, the downward motion was a revelation to me too, so that was very helpful. Yeah, that was super helpful, and the flow, everything flowing into one stroke, I felt was really helpful from that video. で、なんだって？
そう、読み方がね、いいだよっていう。
書き方ね。Is there a word for this letter in it? No, I don't think so. This isn't used in modern Japanese at all. This is a leftover. An important thing to note is that so when Hiragana was being created, before it was created, there was a bunch of kanji that were used just for the way they sounded, like Hiragana and katakana are used now. So there was a bunch of them for each sound. So when they decided to make Hiragana, they were going to use the cursive versions for those for the Hiragana, and they started out trying a bunch of different ones. So there was like a bunch of E's, and there was a bunch of Is, and there was a bunch of different O's, and then they ended up just choosing one eventually. But you can still search what the other ones were, and this is one of the ones that stuck for a while, I guess. So you'll see this in a lot of older Japanese writing because it was being used still. But in modern Japanese, it's not used. And then there's one more we're going to do right now that was used for e.
Is that るという質問がエピックさんから来て。
No, this is an old version of i.
ねえ。今はもうほとんど 名前だよね。もしあるとしたら
does it show up in names sometimes?
その
Interesting.
over 80の人。
People who are over 80 years old, you'll sometimes see this show up in their names.
そう。
I've seen it in I've seen the next one that we're gonna write in some store names of shops before. I've seen this one. I have no idea how to write this. It's one stroke, right?
はい、ワンストロークとなっております。
I'm just gonna look at the font above and copy it. So well, you know what? No. Because I'm assuming it's gonna be Ru on top.
そう。ルはね、またこれ似てるからね、こう書いとくね。こうルは似ているということで、参考にしてね、この。そのまま左に。で、そのままつなげて、真ん中、右側。はい、いいです。
But I think this has to be a little bit more over here. But let's see what Yuki's looks like.
そう。でこれもね、こういう感じだよね。ちょっとちっちゃかったかな。ちょっとちっちゃいな。
It's tiny, but you can see it.
まあ、
小人の世界に入ります。You're gonna go into the small people's world. Or into the, I guess you'd say, what is another word for 小人?
小人だよ。
Yeah, but there's a monster name that is also 小人 in like fantasy games. I can't remember what it is.
なんだっけ
Not gnomes. Is it gnomes? I can't remember.
そうだよね。
Old Japanese seems like a doozy with all the extra characters. We love a wavy do. Polish off the chips. Now time for some ice cream mochi. いいね。
これが、
Oh yeah, that's
はい、
yeah.
A です。
This
一
is
角
the
やね。
same as
はい。
That's how you read that one. And this is a Naruto run.
あ、ドア
Dwarves, yeah, okay. That's it. Dwarves. It's used for dwarves. And I think it's used for dwarves in fantasy. Halflings is... I can't remember.
おー、それってえって読むのかな、そのルミ
Yeah,
ナ
I
ル
have
さん
no
の
idea how to
や
write
つ
that one.
なんて読むのかな。でもさ、なんとなくさ、これじゃない元の漢字が
Even
違う
oh yeah, it might be based on that.
こういう風に書いてあるよね。
There is a lot of old characters in Unicode, actually. And there's a lot of like just parts that you wouldn't expect in Unicode. Yeah, so okay, so your bottom is a little bit wider than mine.
あ、はい。
Let me give that a shot one more time. Pretty much fine though, I think.
そうね。なんか私もちょっと全然調べたことないので、この部分に何があるかがわかりません。
そうだね。That was pretty bad. There's absolutely no need to be able to write this one at all beyond like just for fun. But it's a cool looking character, but it's so similar to do with like an extra little thing below that they just got rid of it because it's, doing just making it completely different is just easier to read. Like imagine if you were using this for the word eru. Then what would it would be? Hold on. Like this would be how you'd write eru. That would be so stupid. Halflings, yeah. I collect old coins and I have some Meiji era coins and other old unidentified Japanese coins that have some of these old characters. Really interesting how language evolves. Yeah, that is cool. Oh, dang, I've never seen that one before. Yeah, I think I've seen it once or twice, but I've never seen it like in the wild. Your bottom is a little weirder than mine. Things I... Fair enough.
私も We love baby do です。
I think my do is I've maintained the improvements from that video. Even though we recorded it like a month ago.
ねえ。そう、結構ね、tips が大事ですよね。この for ギザ銃。あ、そうだね。
Magic Tea. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think anyone would create a new shop with this in it or with that in it. But it could be that if the shop is over 100 years old or something, that they just maintained the original name, which there are lots of shops. There's onsens and like hotels in Japan that have been around for nearly 1,000 years. So places like that they may have decided to retain some like the old spelling of the name of the place, even if some people can't read it anymore. But like if it's a famous enough place, people will know. Ooh, I recently sold my 10 yen coins, but I'll try and look for some to buy. Nice. My dad collects coins too. I used to collect coins when I was younger. But since I moved all over the world and stuff, carrying around coins hasn't been, was not super, whatchamacallit. There's a word. I can't remember the word.
ちょっとごめん、全然聞いてなくて。
あ、ユキに話してなかった。大丈夫です。そう。Practical. That's the word I was looking for. はい。なんだって？そう、
E と A のこと調べてた。
She's looking up stuff about E and A.
なんか E と A と同じ発音だけど、なんと平和時代、平安時代。
I've seen that as well. Looks like an A in katakana,
違う、そうじゃない。これは元の漢字なんだけど、てかカタカナか、これがカタカナか。だけど平安時代はじゃなくてウェとウィだったんだって、音が。
That's right. This one was ウェ。
今はだよ。だけどその平安時代の時は
A long time ago
ウェとウィだったんだって。
平安時代はいつ頃だっけ？
平安時代はね、ちょっと待ってくださいね。平安時代はいつかな。
Well, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, these actually used to be read as we and we, which is another reason that they might be around. So, yeah, I've seen that one too. Epic.
間違えた。784年。
So 1,200 years ago. 1,300 years ago.
はい。に、we とウという音があったらしいです。
Which those sounds no longer exist in modern Japanese. So, well, I mean, sort of they do in katakana for foreign loanwords. Mostly names, though. There's not even many words I think that have we or we in them. Well, the Nintendo Wii. How would you write Wii?
Nintendo Wii はこういうやつだよね。
Oh, they just do it in English.
Wii だけど、
Wii っていうよね。
Wii
そうだよね。Wii
多分カタカナだと。
Oh, you did my favorite hiragana. The old-timey ones nobody uses. Yep, they're fun.
あれマイケルはさ、前のマイケルと一緒のマイケル。
そうだと思います。
おー、久しぶり。
How's it going, Michael? Good to see you. So that's how you type it on a keyboard.
そうね、このエピークさんが言ってるこれね。
なるほど。
これはこれのカタカナ。
That makes it pop up, yeah.
カタカナかな。
Right, that makes sense. We and we. That's how you can type them. That's new for me too. I mean, I have seen it written as we and we sometimes, but it didn't stick. I forgot about it. But that taught us how to type it, so that's good. There's also an archaic yet hiragana, but it's much rarer, and I haven't seen any method of typing it. Most fonts don't display it well. Yet. There's a bunch. There's a ton. Like, if you look into it, like I was saying earlier, every single sound in Japanese had like a bunch of different versions of hiragana, and only a couple stuck. Like, if you look it up in Japanese, you'll see like like 7 or 8 different versions of each hiragana. And they ended up just choosing one. I don't know what the process was for that, but how's it going, Radclaw? Good to see you.
ようこそ。
The stream is going to be very short today. I'm too hungry.
みんなさ、カタカナもやってほしいっていうお声が今日ありましたよね。
It sounds like I don't know about everyone, but a lot of people said yes, they'd like to see a katakana video. どうする予定なの? I guess we'll have to do a katakana video.
あ、そうなんだ。じゃあちょっともう今から聞きたいんですけど、何のカタカナがみんな難しいのかな?
She wants to know which katakana you guys find the most difficult. During the premiere of the last video, a lot of people said they have trouble with this one. I'll be able to learn, like I learned a lot about hiragana in the last video, but I'm going to struggle with the katakana as well. Like I can write the hiragana ka fairly good now.
すごい超上手だね。いきなりめっちゃうまくねえかこれ。
いきなりじゃないよ。 we worked on that video and then I had to watch the same scene a bunch of times. So I can do that well now. But my katakana is still going to be trash. So I can still learn a lot in that video. And I think if both of those videos do well, maybe doing a couple about kanji could be fun as well. Because I can definitely improve that as well. Could be fun. And you're good at both of those, so. Yes, please, is divine frequency. I think it's going to be shi and su. I don't know that shi and su are difficult to write. I think it's difficult for people to read them. Although I always messed up shi and su as well. My middle name is James. So.
いいですね。
That's my middle name. And I used to draw the she really bad. So when we were getting married, actually, I was writing my name on the document, and they're like, "Can you write that for him because I can't read his she? It looks like a tsu." And it turns out I was doing it wrong. I was starting here. I don't even know if it was that good, but I think it was like this. That's how I was writing it. And some of you may already notice what the issue is there, but the issue is I wrote the stroke order wrong for starters. So you have to start from this one, and they need to be horizontal, almost horizontal. And then it's like that. So like in handwriting, tsu and shi are actually way easier to tell apart. Like you go left versus 1, 2, 3. I mean, they still look way too similar for it to be. They look way too similar. But yeah, if you write it a lot, you start. If you can write shi and su well, and you know what the differences are, you can read them even in font quite easily. So yeah, I think that'll be a good one for the video. I mean, they'll all go in the video, of course. But
そう、ソとんも同じ理由で書けるようになりますね。
Yes, and our native Japanese names are in hiragana. Some are. I've seen some people whose names are in hiragana all the time, so they don't have kanji. What are some examples? I think I've seen like kaede written in hiragana. There's some words that are based on like a flower name that would just be hiragana. But most people have names in kanji, and then when they're writing the pronunciation of it, they write it in katakana.
そうだね。
The pronunciation. Right.
もうそれドキュメント書くときって、ね。
Yeah, when they're writing in a document, they write the pronunciation. You always write the pronunciation of like your address and your name above it, above your kanji in katakana. Just because kanji have so many different writings, and sometimes people have weird readings of their kanji, so they have to write it above it in katakana. So if you ever live in Japan, you basically do need to be able to write katakana, because there's all kinds of paper documents, and you'll only have to write certain kanji because you'll be writing the same ones every time. But a lot of the like your address is going to have a bunch of katakana, so you'll have to write that. But it's not like a huge, super important reason for needing to learn to write. It's just you will have to.
そうそう。こういう風に書いてあるよね。名前の中で。
You write your name here in kanji,
そうそう、ここが
and then you write it in katakana here.
そう。かひらがなね。
And I have to write just because. You got to go by the book here. I write my name in katakana here.
So.
And then I write it again in katakana here. I have to write it in both spots. Sometimes I write it in English here, but reverse style. So my last name, first name, middle name, and then I write it in katakana above sometimes. Chaddo. Yeah, I think that's one.
Chaddo.
Yeah, I think that's right.
例えばチャドはさ、こうじゃあToKiniという
そう、we'll go with ToKiniチャッド。
そうそう、名前をつけておくじゃないですか。まあ漢字がね、例えばこういうさ、何がいいかな、にってにとかにしとくじゃないですか。そうだね、ToKini。これがさ、はい、チャド来たでしょ、これチャドね。
そう。
で、ここがひらがなの場合は、このToKini Chado って書くんだけど
Sometimes they want you to write in hiragana, but I've almost never seen that. So it's almost always going to be katakana above.
カタカナの時はこういう風にToKiniで同じやつをここにもね Chado って書く。
So the same thing will come above.
そう同じやつ書く。
Right. Our native Japanese, did the way you draw radicals change based on the kanji? Almost never. Radicals themselves are almost always the same. With that said, what order you draw them in can be a little bit different depending on the kanji that it's in, the actual radical, like when you write it. But for the most part, no, they always have the same stroke order, I believe. I can't think of any off the top of my head that would be different. Ta and ku, yeah, those are going to be easy to mix up. Granted, if you can write one, you can write the other well. Opinion on the triangle method for tsu and shi. I've been told that she is like a girl smiling and tsu is like a big wave. I'm not sure what the triangle method is. I'm assuming just from how I write them that you're thinking you've got a triangle like this or a triangle like this, eh? So yeah, I mean, that works. Sort of. I mean, well, no, yeah, that works. You've got a piece of pizza facing up versus a piece of pizza going sideways. I've seen people say riding the wave because you've got tsu like this is the wave and you're standing on top of it, whereas she is, well, that doesn't, you can't really use she with the wave story, but I had a friend named Hiro was no kanji. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, for sure.
私のいとこ、お母さんサイドのいとこは女の子全員ひらがなだよ。
Oh, really? Yuki's cousins on her mom's side are all of their names, their first names are in hiragana. Preach, Andy. So the post office city worker who made me rewrite stuff on the official form 4 times. Yep. The ta in Sara has a different stroke order. Yeah. Technically, let's look this up. I don't know if they are actually the same. Like, I don't know if that's actually the part. I think it's sun, actually, in Sara.
Sun.
JA.Wiktionary. We'll take... If we look at the original, I'll bring this up on screen for you guys. Put this here. And look at the desktop. Okay. So here we have our kanji. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So the reason the stroke order is different, we can see here.
これこんな風に映ってるの今。
本当だ. It's got the whole desktop.
なんか2つとも。
This is what we wanted.
はい。
Okay. So we can see here that the reason that the stroke order is different is because it's not field. It's based on iwaku. Iwaku it means to it's like a quotation to say or said by so and so. This is the kanji right here, iwaku.
だけどね、この日の日っていう字に
Right, it's identical to it's identical to day. Regardless, they have the same stroke order, but you'll see that here on the inside, just based on the historical part, that is not field, which is why the stroke order is different. It is the stroke order for sun or for iwaku, which you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down. So that's why that would be different. So a lot of times if the stroke order is different, it gives you a good hint that it might not be what you think it is. So that's always interesting.
はい。そうだね。そう、たじゃないもんね。
So yeah, it's not ta. So that is why. Hello, I'm back, says Cloud M. Maliwanga. Wanag. I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, sorry. Rip, I gotta go. Thanks for the stream. Bye-bye, says Epic. See you later. Official documents are challenging, but at least Japanese are patient and kind and helpful. For sure. Most of the time. But, yeah, documents can be a pain in the neck, especially when there's like 50 of them to write. But you do get better at writing your name and address, which is usually all you really have to write. One other place that I've had to write a lot when I'm in Japan is when I go to the doctors. When you go to the doctor, every single time you go to a new doctor, you get a piece of paper and it's got all kinds of questions about your symptoms and your history, and you have to write out stuff in that. Some doctors can read English. A lot of them can. So I guess you could write it in English, but most of the people that work for them probably can't. So I've always tried to write it out. Most of the time, not most of the time, a lot of the times I'll just write in hiragana, like if I feel really bad and I don't know the kanji or I don't feel like looking it up, and that's fine, of course. But when I do know the kanji, I take the opportunity to write it out. Also, like in my old job, I had to write daily reports for the job on paper. So like I'd write a half a page to a full page on paper. And not just in hiragana, obviously, because that would take forever. So there's a lot more writing that still goes on in Japan than usual. And then another thing to keep in mind is that writing is making a comeback in general, I think. people are getting tired of digital and finding that obviously digital typing and stuff is just not as good. Things like note taking. It's been found that people who take notes by hand while listening to a lecture remember things long term significantly longer than people who take notes when they're typing. A part of the reason for that is that it takes longer to write a note, which means you have to actually think about what's being said and only write down the gist of what has been said to you in a lecture, whereas someone who's typing can just, if they're a fast typer, they can just write everything they're hearing, which means they don't actually think about it at all, which means they don't learn anything. But regardless, it's been being found more and more that handwriting, writing by hand, is just better overall for many different things than typing. So I think a lot of people are noticing that. A lot of people are getting sick of digital, so writing is becoming more of a thing even in the Western world. And it has always been a thing in the Eastern world. So I still think to this day that learning to write is massively valuable. And it's been shown there were multiple studies done in China on kids. And they did studies on kids who wrote kanji and who didn't, who just tried to memorize it other ways. And like over and above, the kids who wrote remembered better. So, Do you think it's possible to learn N5 without a sensei? Yes, sort of. Yes and no. It'll be helpful to have like videos and stuff at least, but I don't think you necessarily need to get a tutor for N5. And the bank, yeah. I think you can pass. Yeah. More Blessings says, I think you can pass N5 with only the videos Andy has on here. That's the goal here. We have to finish the kanji series for N5. So, if we finish that, then yeah, you can pass N5 with just what we have on this channel, like the free stuff. If you have the website, if you're on the website, 100%, we have enough content there to cover N5, no problem. I've been able to have hours-long convos in Japan during my 3 trips this past year, solely thanks to your grammar videos. You're a phenomenal teacher. Thank you, Kyle. I'm so happy to hear that. That's awesome.
ありがとうございます。
I know people who got N1 without ever taking class. Yeah, 100%. Definitely doable. I wanted to learn Japanese for many years. Studying is so boring, so now I just absorb as much as I can, keeping it interesting and fun, and this was... Thank you. You're a powerful combination. Thank you, Divine Frequencies. That's great. Keeping it fun is super important. Kylie, thank you so much. Figured out how to super chat to follow that up. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
ありがとう。
You can hit the like button on that and the heart button too.
そし
Thank
て
you.
カイルさん、スーパーチャットをくれた人にはお名前を書きますよ。
Kyle-san, anyone who gives a super chat in these live streams, Yuki writes their name out in kanji. She looks up some kanji that she thinks might be good for the name Kyle in this case. And she will write those out for you. So she's going to be working on that for a little bit while I talk to you guys. Whoa, Magic T3. Thank you very much. It looks like you are going to get your name in kanji as well. Magic T3, please let us know what you'd like Yuki to write for your name. Kyle, she's going to write Kyle, unless there's another name you'd like her to write. And Magic T, whatever your name is or a name that you'd like her to write, let us know. And she will write that for you in kanji.
ありがとうございます。
So that'll probably be the last thing we do for this stream, and then we'll have to head out for today. But it'll take a while, so that's cool. Hai, onegai shimasu. When learning kanji, do you recommend learning both definition and onyomi kunyomi as well, or should it come later? I get this question a lot. No, I don't recommend. I don't recommend learning any readings along with the kanji. I believe the website Wanikani teaches, when they teach the kanji, they teach I think they teach one of the main onyomi. And there's an argument to be made that one reading, like Wanikani does, is not necessarily too much. But trying to learn them all together is too much. There's too much going on there. You're not going to remember it all. You're not going to be able to connect it all. And because the sounds in Japanese themselves are quite limited, I think there's 133 total sounds, including the ones used for foreign loanwords, in the whole language. That's how many sounds there are. And that is, it might sound like a lot, but it's absurdly low. In English, there are over 1,000 sounds. We only have 27 letters, but over 1,000 sounds and combinations of sounds. Japanese has 133. So the reason that's important is because there's over 2,000 standard Japanese kanji, which means tons of them have exactly the same sounds. So you can't really be expected to learn one and then learn the 17 sounds that are attached to that one kanji in a vacuum. It won't work. It doesn't work. So what I always recommend is you learn what they mean and how to write them as like a separate thing. And then you learn words. And you can learn those words in sentences, or you can just learn them as you're reading or watching things. You see a new word, you make that part of your vocabulary study with the kanji attached, especially if you already know those kanji's meanings. And you learn them that way, and you get used to the readings. It makes more sense to get used to the readings over time than to try and memorize them all together. Now, I think one ikani, they teach one reading together when you learn the meaning and the word. I still think it might be a little bit much, but it's better than trying to learn them all together. And I can see why that's not a terrible idea. Like, I can see why having the ability to maybe read it in one or two words right off the bat can be motivating for some people. But generally, no. Not to derail, but your contact page on your website says accept when it should read accept. Oh, thank you, Morbid Blessing. I'll make a note of that somewhere. Hi. I'll just send a picture. I'll copy and paste it and send it in Discord to Yuki. Daijoubu.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I'm not connected to Discord on this computer. There we go. Okay, 1 second. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I have to update the contact form in general. Okay, there's a note for that. Sweet. Appreciate that. Or as I like to say, I'm learning to read and write, not to be a dictionary. It feels like every other onyomi is ko or jo sometimes. Okay. Exactly. So whenever I couldn't remember reading in monikani, I always guess ko, and it's right a surprising amount of the time. Yeah. When I couldn't remember reading in monikani, I read that. I'm doing monikani again, and my I don't remember go to try is ko. It's interesting. Very interesting. There are a lot of ko readings in Japanese. But like, if you can just guess ko for like 50 different kanji and get it right, you haven't actually learned the kanji necessarily. So it brings me back to, is there value in learning the reading of a single kanji in a vacuum? Because you'll never read that kanji in a vacuum. It's always going to be in the context of a word. Always. So having the ability to guess that this kanji might be ko when it's like on its own is not necessarily useful. And even like being able to guess the reading of a word in context without knowing what the word means, there's no value in that really either. So generally speaking, when you're reading something new and you don't know the word, like, yeah, you read it, but beyond that, like, yeah, you read it, you still got to look it up. I think you should look up every word that you don't know when you're reading. I don't think there's any value unless you've picked it up from context. If you know enough to pick up the meaning from context, then there's some value in being able to read it like that in a vacuum. But otherwise, you're gonna have to look it up anyway. So I don't know. I'm only a little bit on the fence. I mostly don't think you need to do any of that. Yuki has finished Kyle's name. Kyle, if you're still here.
Hi. Arigatou gozaimasu.
If not, I think you're still here. Thank you so much. Here is your name in kanji.
Hi. Arigatou gozaimasu, Kairu-san.
Arigatou gozaimasu. Let's center that. Okay. Iyo, soko de.
Hi. Kairi-sanの
いいよ。います。
はい。カイルさんの、名前の漢字はカイとルで分けて2文字にしました。
So she's broken it up into kai and lu, two separate kanji.
はい。で、このカイっていう字は喜ぶとか嬉しいとか、その快感の快とかそういう意味があります。
So this kanji here has the meaning of being happy, generally speaking, joy.
そうそう。あとね、present とかあれ？
present。
あれ？スペルわかるけど発音できない。
pleasant ね。pleasant。
こう。
pleasant or happy。合ってるよ。
合ってる。これです。
Okay, nice。
はい。で、このるっていう字は、止めるとかとどまるっていう意味のある漢字なんですけど、 まあ、実際止めるって書いてこの漢字を使うんですけど、なんか心に残るとか、そのstable な意味があるんだよね。
To be stable or to remain in your heart. It often has a meaning of to stop, but in names it'll be like to be stable or to have that in your heart. So basically to have joy or pleasantness or happiness in your heart, staying in your heart, basically, or in your mind. So that is the name chosen for Kyle. Thank you again, Kyle. Appreciate that.
ありがとうございます。
All right, we'll pop back over.
私はプレゼントが発音できないということがバレてしまいました。
Magic-san said, Dawn. We're going to write Dawn for Magic. Thank you again, Magic and Kyle. Dawn.
カイルさんありがとうございます。
I'm clicking names here. There we go. Okay. I found knowing different readings pretty much only useful for guessing station names. Oh, that can be helpful. Although a lot of place names, 合ってるよ。合ってる。はい。Dawn. Dawn. だ、ど、こう伸ばす。伸ばして、ど、こう、そうだと思います。
はい、わかりました。ちょっと書いていきます。
Is it normal? Oh, I guess there was a question before that, but I think I can answer your question faster. Is it normal to go through a period when one's exhausted brain just can't remember anything in Japanese? Absolutely. Absolutely. And my recommendation there is either to take a day off, which is fine, or just keep going. What I've found just in life in general, just a general thing, is that when I'm tired, just taking a break can be good. But a lot of times when I'm just like, I don't feel like doing it, if I just force myself past that little point and do like a minute, like I'm like, I'll do 5 minutes. I end up doing an hour. So, and you get past the point. Like the mental block tends to be feel way thicker. That wall feels way thicker than it actually is. And it's easier said than done. But, and sometimes you do just need to take a break. But a lot of times if I just push back and like I'm just going to do 5 minutes, it ends up being more. So. What's a good way to learn conversational vocab? I try to listen to conversation practice, but there's so many words I don't understand. That's gonna be natural for you for a very long time. There's gonna always be words you don't understand. When you're reading, like even when I read an advanced, like a book aimed at adults, even now, a lot less than there used to be, even 3-4 years ago. But even now, I have to look up quite a bit, and that's fine. Just looking up everything you run into that you don't know can be very, very, very helpful. If you're just starting out, though, obviously an SRS app like Anki or something like that is invaluable, I think, just for getting the base, getting the first few thousand words. It's huge. After that, reading, using things like, what's that word? Language React, I believe it's called, where when you're watching like shows on Netflix, you click a word and it pauses the video and it gives you the meaning. Things like that, super useful. And you don't even have to remember it. Like you just look it up once, be like, okay, that's what this means. And then you just keep going, and then you're going to see it again, you're going to forget it, and you're going to have to look it up again. And you'll do that like 7 times, and by the 8th time you won't have to look it up anymore. So just look up what you don't know every time you don't know it, and you'll get there. That was fast. Hi. Dawn's name is finished. Thank you again.
Hi. ドンさんありがとうございます。
Magic T3。
そう、意外にね、カイルさんもね、ドーンさんもね、結構日本語の音に近いというか、
so they're both close to Japanese sounding names, so that's easier to come up with kanji.
はい。
And easier to break them down.
はい。
はい。
で、ドーンさんはね、ちょっと音の切る場所を変えました。
Okay, so she changed the place where she cuts the sound for each one. So
はい。そう、本当は多分ドーンってこのドの方が一緒の音だよね、英語だと。
Usually the do is where it would break, but for her she would do o.
そう。
ド
とオンで2文字に漢字に分けました。
Yeah.
はい。で、ドっていう漢字はこれ努力のドで努めるという漢字になります。
Right. This is the working hard do. Doing a job well.
あと、エフォートな
and putting in effort, yeah. Just like you were just saying, like working out, yes. Just like that, actually. Even though that had nothing to do with your kanji, but yes.
そう。で、オンはこの音っていう字なんですけど、
And this is the kanji for sound, for sound. And,
そうだから努力の音の人
The sound of hard work.
すごい日本人っぽいね。
It's very Japanese, yeah. The sound of putting in effort. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
あ、
Dom.
I will write
Thank
it
you,
like
thank you.
this always instead of down って書いてある。
いいね。
そっか、ダウンさんか。
Yeah, don だと思う。I wouldn't write it down anyway, because then it would be down, like as in down, with the u there. You want to go actually like this, I believe, for don. If we're pronouncing that right, don. Unibeard, Unibeard, I believe I'm saying that right. Thank you so much. Amazing content. You two are the GOAT. Arigatou gozaimasu. Kochira koso arigatou gozaimasu. Thank you for being here. Looks like you get a name too. Let us know. Okay, yeah, so it's definitely
そうだよ
don.
ね。そうそう。ドーンだからやっぱりダウンじゃなくて
So
ドーン
if you write it in katakana, you'll want to go like with this. If you're ever in Japan and you have to write in an official document, you want to go with this one, don, because they don't accept kanji on official documents unless you change your name legally. And to do that, you'd have to become a Japanese citizen. But for fun, when you're just writing it in general, like on non-official documents, you can use this for sure. Thank you, UniBRB. Let us know what your name is or a name that you'd like us to write. It doesn't have to be your name. And Yuki will work on that.
Hi.
Yuki's busy today.
ありがとうございます。
minasan. Thank you. Greetings, Andy. When using RTK to learn kanji, should I complete the book prior to learning grammar with Genki or sequentially? I'm trying to avoid getting overwhelmed. If you're going to use RTK or our kanji series, I like to think of those two studies as like separate things, even though they come together eventually. So I usually would give some time to kanji. I used to do an hour, but I had a lot more time than a lot of people back then. I was single, I was living in Japan, and I had 4 hours every morning where I could study and a couple hours at night because I didn't finish work till like 9:30 p.m. So what am I going to do then on a Tuesday? So I'd study a lot. With that said, 15, 30 minutes for kanji and then the rest for other things like grammar and vocabulary is perfectly fine. My problem is watching videos on how to practice Japanese instead of actual Japanese content. That's everyone's, well, not everyone's, but that's a lot of people's problems with every single topic in the world. Basically, every topic that people want to get good at. Working out, exercising, same thing, dieting, playing piano, running, whatever. Japanese.
昨日始めたじゃないですか、新しいやつこの。
But I actually started. I got kettlebells recently. I watched videos on them for like a day or two, and then I bought them, and then now I'm doing them, and they're awesome. But anyway, the point is you just have to stop. Like there's no magic bullet. You just stop. you don't click on them when they pop up, and you don't look for them anymore. I was mentioning to someone earlier. I was saying it might have been you actually, maybe not. I was saying one of the good things you can do is just stop, write a note on a piece of paper or on the computer of everything that you remember from the videos you've watched on how to learn Japanese, and you'll find that you have there's like 6 bullet points or something. And you're like, okay, so these are the 6 things that I should do, and then pick one and do it the same time every day for 10 minutes. And then after a couple weeks, maybe add another thing on there for another 10 minutes and do those same things every day. Instead of going back to the videos, because there's no magic bullets, there's no secrets, there's nothing, right? You already know what to do, most likely. Unibeard says, I usually go by Richie. Also, the beard in the username is pronounced like the bird, like bird. Beard, bird. Okay, burb ka. Uniburb. Gotcha. Okay, we're going to go with Richie.
これ、
Richie.
小さいつ
Rich. Not rich is with a 小さいつ, but Richie is
じゃあ、
長い.
Richie.
So, Richie. So, like that, I think. Richie. We're going to check. Is this how you'd write it? With the longer.
Richie なのか、Richie.
I think like this one.
Richie.
Richie.
じゃ
I
な
would go
く
with
て。
this. Richie.
はい、わかりました。
I would do that. I don't know what you
漢
you
字
go
的にはこれが小さい「い」しか当てはめ
with.
られない
In
で
the
これにな
kanji,
っ
it
ちゃ
won't
うん
make
で
a
すけ
difference,
ど
but this
ね
is。how you'd write it.
はい。
Okay, she's going to work on that. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
Hello, just wanted to say I really like your channel. Thank you, Walk In to Talk 30. An hour of power. Kettlebell snatches always make me think I'm going to break my forearm. I'm just doing swings right now, but I'll be doing some other things as well. How important is getting a degree for immigrating to Japan? Sorry if it's off topic. Not off topic. getting a degree in the modern world, I'm conflicted on it. I don't think I learned anything in college. I think it was almost. I think it was worse than nothing. I think I enjoyed college very much. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of cool people, but I had too much fun, and I think it was a waste of time. Like, frankly speaking, it was a waste of time. I would have done better if I just studied on my own. And I think that's probably the case for most people. With that said, socially speaking, it was great, and I learned a lot, and it wasn't a waste of time in that sense. Now, that's the philosophical side of it. Like, is college worth it? With that said, there's a lot of jobs that you need it for, and that even if you're really good at it, people won't give you a job in certain fields. So in the end, you have to do it. And that brings me to Japan. You have to have one. There may be some like loopholes where you could get here without a degree, but in general, you have to have a degree to get a visa. There's like, if you're from the West, there might be some places where you don't need a degree. And they might be loosening it up recently. I'm not really sure. But up until recently, at least, and I haven't seen any changes in this, you have to have one. So yeah, you have to get one. One of my friends from Australia managed to come here and get a job for a year without one, but I don't know how she did it. So once again, there are some loopholes, but I don't know them. Studying in nature is good also. Thank you so much, Michael. You were going with a mic. Appreciate that. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。マイクプリーズね。
ありがとうございます。
OK です。ありがとうございます。
ぜひ。ありがとうございます。Thank you. Really appreciate that. Studying in nature is good also. Absolutely. I wish I could spend way more time in the mountains. And this year I think I'm going to make an effort to do so. But very hard to get to decent work here in Japan without a college degree. Like most companies wouldn't sponsor a visa. Yeah. I think I don't know if it's changed, but the requirement for a visa up as long as I've known has been that you must have one. Not just companies won't sponsor you without it. It's like the country itself won't give you one unless you have a degree. You need to get past the filter that discards your application due to no degree. Yeah. Your recent lifestyle change video was relatable. I was spending way too much time in Discord talking about my ambitions in math and Japanese instead of learning it. Thanks for the wake-up call. Yeah, we all have had that issue for sure. I don't think there's many people who haven't, and I know I have as well. That all my advice in that one, that was a huge change for me too. I was able to quit a bunch of things I was tired of doing, and build a few new habits. So that little book, that little checkbook, even if you don't do it permanently, like even just for a month or two, it makes a huge change for me at least. But not for everyone. Some people didn't like it, which is fine. College is expensive in the USA. Yeah, I mean, but I say it was worthless in a sense, but like I couldn't have come to Japan if I didn't get the degree. Like I wouldn't be doing this. So it wasn't really worthless. It's just I didn't actually learn. Like I've learned more outside of college than I ever learned in it. And that's also only true for certain degrees. Like if I was a computer science major, which I was for the first year and a half, but I failed calculus 2 because I couldn't understand what my teacher was saying. And also I didn't put enough effort to be fair. If I had stayed in that degree, I think it would have been way more valuable. But anyway. The real... right. Thanks for your answer, Andy. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. And this is where I'm sad. I'm 60, very skilled, got lucky, and I'm published in peer-reviewed journals and no degree. Oof. The being published can help, I think. You might be able to get into like a college position. There are professorships in Japan that allow not just Westerners, just non-Japanese people. There's a lot of people who get those. Well, although I guess that would be kind of hard without a degree. I'm not sure. It depends on the publications, I imagine. Excuse me. Yeah, university is a little bit cheaper in Japan, but still not cheap. Hey, I'm interested in working for the Japanese government as a translator. I'm N1 level. Do you think it would be impossible to get a job with the Japanese government without an actual degree? I'm sure it's not impossible. I know a few translators over here, and they're very high level. Before I answer your question, Ichi-san, arigatou gozaimasu. Yuki has finished your name. Ooh, I like this one.
本当、ちょっと難しい漢字を選んでしまいました。
She picked some difficult kanji.
はい。
Kanji I kind of like.
はい。じゃあちょっとブレイクダウンしますね。リーチさんはこれ伸ばし棒なんですけど、いをここの最後の一文字として。
Of course, there's no the extension character in katakana, of course, is just extending the vowel sound from before, so richi. But in kanji, of course, there's no extension bow or extension at all, so we just have an e for that. So we got richi.
はい、リチといで二文字の漢字にしました。で、これはリチの方なんですけど、ほとんどの場合は律と呼ぶ場合が多い。
So this kanji is usually read as ritsu, but it can be read as a richi for names.
で、法律の律とか、旋律の律とか、そのリズムとか規則っていう。
It's often for things like rhythms or for rules, and it often shows up in words like 法律, which means law, and things like that.
はい、っていう意味がある漢字です。で、このいの方、伸ばしのいの方は偉いっていう立派な人っていう意味のある漢字で、偉人とか偉いっていう偉といに。
I can't remember the English for 偉い。
ここにある。
There's a million different. Okay, so yeah, so erai. Admirable, that's the one.
Right.
Admirable, commendable, honorable, distinguished, high ranking. It can also be used for things like that. Mighty, many different possible meanings there. But yeah, basically the honorable law or the magnificent law or the laudable rule following or something like that. Something like that. Anyway.
ちょっとグレートな感じですね。
It's a pretty epic name.
そう。
Thank you, love it, recognize it, D from 法律。
硬い感じの名前になってしまいました。
It's good though, I like it.
はい。
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
Appreciate that.
リッチさんありがとうございます。
ありがとう。All right, we'll be moving on to Mike-san now. Thank you very much, both of you.
ありがとうございます。
It's my face on stream.
マイケルのマイクね。
Mike. Hey Andy, I was answering Denver's question. So yeah, I know a few translators who do it professional here. Usually freelance. They've worked for some companies. I think one worked for TikTok for a while, things like that. If you have no professional experience in translating, you're gonna have a hard time getting a job directly in the government. So also, you said you're N1. This is something I talk about a lot actually with my students, because a lot of students get sort of how should I put it, tripped up in they do too much translation in the beginning without realizing that translation and language learning are completely different skills. You need one for the other, but it's not the order most people think. A lot of people think you start translating and then you learn the language along the way, but it's the other way around. You need to become fluent in the language before you can become a good translator. So that means now that you got N1, now you can start working on translation. You're probably not good at that yet. I mean, maybe you are. Maybe you've been working on it a lot. But basically, they're different skills. Very different skills, I think. You actually have to be... Basically, you'll notice that there are no translators, almost at all, that go... from their native language into their second language. Almost everyone goes from their second language into their native language, and there's a reason for that. It's because you have to be a good writer in your original language, in your native language, or whatever you're translating into, to be a good translator. So first, you have to be a really good writer. You have to be able to write well. And then you have to be able to take the language and transfer it into that, your whatever language you're translating into, but not literally. It has to hold on to the meaning while also holding on to the feeling of the original Japanese in this case. which is very, very hard no matter how good you are at Japanese or whatever language. So they're two very different skills. So just being able, like just saying I have N1 isn't going to get you a job in translation. You're going to have something to show because of it being such a very different skill. And it's also a reason I tell people to not translate when they're learning the language. Like, don't do it. Like, just don't bother with translating. When you're learning, try to get used to the feel of the language and how it feels and, you know, situations where words and phrases are used and things like that. Obviously, in the very beginning, you're going to have to use a little bit. And when you're looking in dictionaries, you're going to be looking at the English meaning of words in the beginning. But yeah, very different skills. And then No Solutions Podcast was saying, Chad's gonna call the college and ask for an honorary degree. I wish you luck. But I'm a programmer, says. Well, that's good because you can get lots of jobs as a programmer without a degree, I imagine. No Solutions Podcast said, I was wondering if you had good recommendations for resources for situational Japanese practice, primarily for ordering food, Subway, etc., like role play for more competence in those moments. We have some challenges on the website. I don't know if you remember there, but we don't specifically like aim at that. I don't know any really great resources for that kind of like situational practice. It's a good idea, and some of our challenges, which are mostly taken from Genki, to be fair, we have people recording themselves doing like those sort of role plays, and then we correct their speaking practice. And I guess we have a few videos with like numbers practice, which are for that, practicing in situations like ordering food and stuff. But I don't know off the top of my head any others, unfortunately, just because I never used any. Sorry. In general, the angle on getting a job at no degree is to network, get referred, and do the equivalent experience loophole. 100%. Also, certs mean everything, especially if you don't have a degree in tech. The digital nomad program has come up now. Yeah, that can be doable. So let's see if I could get some kind of connection to my company's Japanese business partner. Yeah, both of those are totally doable. For the translation angle, that is also a possibility. Work as a nomad translating in Japan for a little while, get some experience, and then try and apply for jobs in government. That can help. Yuki destroys kanji as well. Could be. We're going to have to do katakana, and then maybe we'll do some kanji as well if both of those do well. We'll see how this video does. Like, there was a lot of great feedback on the video, which I'm super thankful for. And that makes me want to do the hiragana, the katakana video just right off the bat. With that said, will that translate into like people who aren't always hanging out with us anyway, liking the video? That's a different story. So we kind of have to see how that goes, because if the video only gets like 800 views, which it won't, it'll do better than that. It's a very time-consuming video to make. For both myself and Dan, and we have a lot of other videos we have to make. So the priority isn't going to be super high for the katakana video, unless the hiragana video does like amazingly well. Then we'll have to consider pushing the priority up. But just because of where it sits in the priority timeline with all the kanji stuff we have to be working on and the full hiragana video, the priority of that one will depend on the performance of this video. Unfortunately, I have to, feed the algorithm. Yuki has finished up Mike's name. We're going to pop that one up on screen right now.
お待たせしました。マイケルさん、このマイクは3文字の漢字にしました。
Mike's name is 3 characters.
はい。まといとくそれぞれに漢字をつけました。で、まはこれ真実の真とかまっすぐとか真っ黒とか真っ赤とかそのtruly,
truthfully, truly. It's used in a lot of different words.
感じです。
Completely, truly.
はい。
まっすぐ、completely straight, things like that.
はい。で、いはね、これ生きるっていう字のいで、人生の生とかに
means life or lively, things like that.
で、このくっていう字は空と書いてくと読みます。
This one is the sky or openness. Open sky, vacuum, things like that. So we've got a truly open life in the sky. It's nice.
結構かっこよくない？
結構いいね。
はい。
Mike. I like it. Thank you again, Michael. Appreciate that.
はい。
Thank you,
ありがとうございます。
On a similar note to the previous question, how do you handle when things go off script as a beginner? It's tough feeling like you are ready to do an interaction but get unexpected questions. You take it as a learning experience.
またね。
誰？
さっきのリッチーさんかな。マジック。
またね。See you later, see you later, Reggie. Magic. No, that wasn't Richie. That was Don さん。
しまった。ごめん。超ごめん。ほんと。
ドンさ
ん。バードさんの方がリッチーか。
そう。
しまった。ごめん。ドンさんありがとうございます。またね。
I'm a website member. Got lots of value back in the day. So still support. Thank you, Denver. Appreciate that. Gordon, thank you for being here. The name thing is actually for people who drop super chats, just as a little thank you to give back. So if we did everyone's name, we would be here all day, literally. So we only do it for that, unfortunately, but appreciate it still being here, of course. How do I approach things when they go off script as a beginner? It's hard, but you just sort of take it as a learning experience. Maybe you ask them to reword it, or you try and look things up that people are trying to say to you. It will be uncomfortable. It always is, but you get there in the end. People will often simplify what they're trying to ask you. In the end, it might not get anywhere. It might end and you don't know what they were asking. And that's okay. Later on, if you remember some of the words, maybe you jot down a note of one of the words you heard and you look it up later and you're like, oh, that's what they were talking about. And then you won't forget it. So just struggling through it is the only advice I have, because there's no other tricks, to be honest. It was a fun Hiragana video, and I would like the katakana as well. Working on making my writing skill prettier is a nice change from just memorization videos. Sweet. Yeah, I think we will end up making it. It's just a matter of when. How long will it take for an intermediate to learn? Do you mean how long will it take to get to intermediate, or how long does it take to get past intermediate? I'm not sure what your question is. And regardless, the answer is 100% dependent on how much time do you have and what are you doing in that time. That's all that matters. If you have 8 hours every day and you're using all of it just to study kanji, you're not going to become good at speaking. You're going to become really good at kanji. Are you spending your time, nice and dividing it up in between all the different skills, getting speaking practice, and only doing it 2 or 3 hours a day? You'll get pretty good. In a year or two, you'll be at a decent intermediate level. Do you only have 15 minutes a day? It's going to take you your entire life. So it just comes down to that.
15 minutes でもそのクオリティが高ければその時間の中でやるね。
And it's better than nothing. You'll be better than if you did 0 minutes, no matter what. It'll take to get to an actual intermediate level. It'll take a very long time. So it all depends. Any advice for reading at regular speed? Don't expect to be able to. That's my number one advice, and be okay with that. For example, in English, you quickly glaze eyes through a page and still can catch some words. Yeah. The number one advice for learning to read faster, but not like speed read, which is not good anyway, is to read more. If you look at my DS video, I'd read before that, but I hadn't spent a ton of time reading. My DS video, my manga video, and my visual novel video. And in each of those videos, I time myself reading a novel. And then at the end of the month challenge, I time myself again. And the first time, I doubled my speed by just reading 6 or 7 hours a day for a month. And the next one, I hit a plateau because I've been speaking Japanese for so long that the plateau was pretty early. But for beginners, the plateau is way off in the distance. So the second one, I think I improved 30, 40%. And the next one, I improved maybe 15, 20% in my speed. But I'm still not anywhere near my English reading speed. And I never will be. I don't think I ever will be. And that's okay. You'll never be as good as you are in your native language at anything in the second language. I don't think ever. There's always going to be a little bit of a gap. And that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So you have first is to set your expectations. and know that with kanji and all that stuff, it's going to take a very, very long time to get to a speed that you're not like annoyed with. I'm finally happy with my speed. Like, I'm okay with where my speed is at right now. I'm very comfortable. But like, if I look at a manga and Yuki's reading the exact same manga at the exact same time, she'll finish four books before I finish the first one. Maybe 3 books. Because I've gotten faster, so maybe she'll finish 3. In the beginning, she was finishing 8 before I'd finish 1. She might have finished the whole series before I finished 1 in the beginning, let's be honest, of the manga challenge.
私あんまり字読んでないかもね。
I think you speed read a lot. Yeah. But it's easier. Native Japanese people can read kanji really, really fast. That's the beautiful thing about kanji is you don't actually have to read it out loud. You can just see the meaning and you know what it is. But now I think I could finish 1 in the time it took her to finish 3. And I'm happy with that. I don't need to get much better. Can you speak Japanese a little bit just tuned in? ちょっと日本語で喋ってほしいらしい。
じゃあ質問じゃないかこれ。
質問じゃなくてなんか日本語喋ろって言ってる。
でも来
たばかりです。
そうだよね。
まあこれ今日本語で喋ってるからまあいいんじゃないかなって思います。わかるかわからないかわからないんだけど、分かっていればこれでいいですかね。はい。ちょっと日本語で話しました。
はい。
はい、ありがとうございます。来てくれて。
まあ、いつも日本語で話していますもんね。
そうだね。いつも日本語で話してます。
家にいるとき。
家にいるときには 100% 日本語。たまにはなんか例えばスムッシュみたいな感じとかカービースタイルな感じとかそういう風にコードスイッチングをしますが、9割 99.5% の時は日本語で話しています。
なんかね、昨日言ってたのは渋滞、私たち車に乗ってて帰りじゃないね、夕方渋滞だったんですよ。で前の車を見てて、その時にはなんか事故しそうになっててOh boy と言っていました。
俺がね、はいはいはい。独り言の時には結構俺は英語で喋っちゃう。あとびっくりする時には勝手に英語が出てくるんだよね。なんか事故した時にはもうずっと英語で喋ってた。
そうだね。パニックになると
パニックになると英語に戻る。
そうだね。
はい。Okay. How was that? Was that enough Japanese for you? No problem. I'm looking forward to becoming a member. Then I'll have my name in the kanji. Haha, this channel is worth it. Thank you for your efforts. Really, the Genki series helped a lot. Thank you very much. Yeah.
ありがとうございます。
Do you think I'll learn Japanese faster on a diet of Taco Bell or Chick-fil-A? Haha.
いけるんじゃない？
Which is healthier is the question. It depends on what you're ordering off the menu, I guess, but probably Taco Bell.
チクフィレにはさ、野菜のメニューってあるのかな？
Both will make your mind soupy. But if you only eat them each once a day, it might help. And then nothing else throughout the day. No studying on Sunday. Chick-fil-A for sure says come to Japan Dan, but probably Arby's. ToKini Arby. カービースタイル。そう。事故があったの。
事故はなかっただよね。
that time yesterday when we were driving, the car in front of us, it looked like there was about to be an accident. And I saw it coming from a distance. I said, oh boy. But when we did have an accident, I did mention that just now. Many years ago in the States, we got hit by someone who didn't have their license. Their license had been revoked, and they hit us from the side. Partially my fault. But, well, I didn't.
申し訳ない、本当。
It was partially my fault, but only partially for sure. Anyway, yeah, that time I switched English without even thinking about it. Nowadays, I don't know. A lot of my automatic responses have become Japanese, but still sometimes English is just nice. Oh boy. And expletives and things like that when you drop stuff on your toes, those are always going to be in English. This channel is kind and inviting, and that's why I like it. Thank you, Chad.
ありがとうございます。
I think we are going. I think we are going to get going for a little bit, though. For a little bit. No, we're going to get going in a little bit because it's the place we're going for lunch is closing soon.
やばい。
So I think we have to get going because I'm starving. Haven't eaten a single bite today, and it's 1 o'clock.
やばいよ。私ご飯今日作ってないからね、お昼ご飯なくなっちゃうかもしれない。
So you gotta go. Thank you very much, Cool Down, and thank you everyone for hanging out. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for watching the video earlier today. If you haven't watched it yet, check it out. It was fun. English does have a breadth of expletives. Seems Japanese uses kuso to cover so much ground. For sure, yeah, 100%. That covers everything. But it's also a good word, like kuso. And it's not as like English expletives feel more dirty, and we edit them out and stuff. And kuso, like if a kid says kuso, nobody gets mad at them. It's kind of normal. Although you might get in trouble a little bit in school, like don't say that during class. But they're not like the parents aren't gonna get mad at them or anything. I don't think because they said kuso. It's just normal. But anyway, on that note, thank you everyone for hanging out today. Thank you for the super chats. That was very nice of you guys. And thank you, Come to Japan Dan, for that amazing edit and all of the translation and subtitling. That was a great video. Thanks to your work on that.
長いビデオなのに本当ありがとうございました。
Firecrackers in chat for Come to Japan Dan. Thank you to Divine Frequencies, and thank you, Morbid Blessing. Thanks as always. You're all incredible. Time to rewatch the Hiragana video. Thank you. Enjoy. I hope you learn a lot.
ありがとうございます。ね、まあカタカナもね、もしかしたら来るかもしれないんで、また新たな仕事になっちゃうんですけど。
Thank you too, Satyam. Hi. Cool down. Yeah. Oh, there actually are firecrackers. Okay, that's cool. I was thinking this one. Kuraka. That one. You can type in. Did you guys know that if you type words in Japanese instead of in English and press the spacebar, a lot of times emoji will pop up, like that one, kuraka. Kuraka, and you extend it. If you type that, that'll pop up the cracker that I just did. Japanese is fun. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful day, and we will see you next week. I don't know what's going to happen, but.
もうアンディのカタカナ書き順間違えてるやつ見つけちゃったんで、もうすでに。
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of katakana that I write wrong. So, and I'm not going to fix them. I'm not going to look anything up. I don't want you to tell me. We'll have those pop up in the video.
はい。
Don't tell me anything.
わかりました。
Let's see what happens in the video. I'm very interested to see. お願いします。I think I already know, but we'll see. All right. Is Yuki totally fluent in English? You speak a lot of native English fast. Her listening is very, very fluent. We don't practice speaking much, so her speaking ability has come down a little bit just because she doesn't have the opportunity. But I would say that her listening is really, really high level.
そうだけどね、聞こえてるけどね、口がね動かないからね。
Right. She hears really well, but her mouth doesn't move
なん
when
か
she
言い
wants
た
to.
くてもね、言えないんですよ。
Even if she wants to say something, it doesn't pop out. During the live streams and stuff, I speak really fast. But like I said earlier, we only speak Japanese in day-to-day life. Now, she's been married to me, and we've been together for like 9 years. So she's heard me speak a lot of English with other people, and she used to edit a lot of the videos for the website, like the textbook practice videos and things like that. She did a lot of editing on those, so she had to pay close attention to my fast English, and that improved her listening to me specifically really, really well. So I don't really have to slow down too much if I need to speak English. But all right, thank you very much. What is it?
ちょっとね、恥ずかしいね。
Yeah.
英語、口の練習しないとね、このトレーニング。
So. Oh, everything's getting blurry for some reason.
あれ。
Anyway, yeah, but no, we don't actually speak English that much. But anyway, Yuki's Japanese is very easy to understand. That's good.
ありがとうございます。
I used your program for a few weeks before a recent trip to Tokyo. It was super helpful. If you had to pick the lessons to prioritize to spend a few weeks in Tokyo, what would you choose? I would do the Te form. Get the Te form and the Te Iru form down. Like that's the lesson to prioritize for all situations. If you can get those down, you're well on your way. And then maybe lesson 9 as well. Lesson 9 is very useful for short form and modifying nouns with full sentences.
そうだね。それとってもそこまでいければね。
Correct, blind. ね。
もう N5 はパスですよ、もうそれ。
You'll do very good. 10-hour Te-form video. Yes, indeed. The song, yeah? The 10-hour song. Someone watched that recently for 10 hours and live streamed them watching the whole 10 hours. That was pretty wild.
そうね、頑張ってたよね。もうできそうだった。
Glad to hear that, Ricardo. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。
All right, guys, that's going to be all for us today. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you in the next one.
はい。
じゃあせーの。また次のビデオで会いましょうね。はい、See you later guys. Thank you. バイバイ。またね。